Welcome back to the Netherkast, and this is The Lost. I am your host, The Razor's Edge, and I am joined by Shadaloo, just like last week.
I will, unfortunately, be here for every single one of these. I'm the unremovable, inoperable virus or tumor of this show. Get ready to get lost!
I like to think of it as commitment. Monogamy.
What? Monotony? Yeah, monotony.
That too. But,
monotony is a theme, I feel, in the ongoing Mortal Kombat plotline, and I'm alright. I got some wine right here.
Well, that's good news for everybody, I think.
Yes, it is.
So we didn't establish this last week because we didn't have a show title yet, but now that we do, we should clarify The Lost is going to be the show where we talk about storylines and lore and do character retrospectives. So it's not just the comic review show. The release schedule will be sporadic, like graveyard shifts and warrior shrines and such. And that's mostly on me because I am the host, and I'm thinking for the retrospective episodes there will probably be pictures, which gives me a lot more work to do. So I wouldn't hold your breath on those, but they will be coming. So there's that.
I'll be happy to be here as long as we do them, every time we do them. It will not be much more than me sucking on Smoke's cock for an hour and a half, but you get what you pay for, and this is free, so don't bitch.
Are you going to do that for every character, like we do a Liu Kang episode and you suck Smoke's cock?
Oh, man. The White Lotus would be so much better with Smoke in it.
All right, well, something for everybody to look forward to then. But this week, we're going to finish up the review of the Mortal Kombat X comic Season 1. We only have 3 digital issues left to cover, so let's jump right into issue 34.
Probably because we had so goddamn much to get through last time. We really whizzed through those things.
That's true. That's true.
16, felt like 16 issues worth of them. But these last 3 here, ladies and germs, are kind of what a lot of people out there have been waiting to hear about for quite some time, because here's where shit goes down for some of the more popular members of the fan base, as we like to say.
Specifically, the main character of this final story arc is Sub-Zero, who the comic hasn't focused on since the first arc.
Yep. Gave him some nice red eyes, some good old Dragon Ball Z Pantheon level Kamehameha freeze waves, knocked him the fuck out, he bled a dragon, then he fucked off. That's basically been Sub-Zero's story in this comic so far.
This has basically been Scorpion the comic, to be honest. But
pretty well.
So it's nice to have a little focus on the other guy. Especially since I think most people prefer the other guy, but you gotta...
Not that anyone up there would ever actually admit to that kind of thing.
No, I mean, we can't be talking shit about Ed Boon's favorite. I mean, that's just...
In all honesty, the guy has actually admitted on Twitter that he does love giving sub fans a hard time. It's absolutely intentional.
Yeah, he enjoys what he does, and what he does is troll.
Ya yellow bastard. And I do mean yellow. Love you.
So anyway, Chapter 34, Epilogues. Written by Sean Kittleson, pencils by Igor Vitorino, inks by Eau Claire Albert, colors by Kyle Ritter.
That is not the same colorist as last time.
No, the colorist has actually changed.
All right.
So
a rotating cast of stars.
Well, you gotta come out weekly, these digital issues.
All right. So, scene, the Briggs family farm. A week after the Battle of Reiko.
So it took them a full week to get home from Shang's Island. I feel like they got there in one night at the beginning of MK1, didn't they? And
Who knows how fucking portals work these days, or who's even opening them, or what the hell kind of trick they have to go through.
Did they take a portal? Did they take a boat? I mean, a boat ride. One night. From China to Shang's Island. And how long does a plane from China to wherever Jax's farm is, like the American Midwest, really take?
I'm more concerned about the fact that the thing is called the Battle of Reiko. Who the fuck named this?
Yeah, Reiko is not a location.
I remember back in WW2 when my great-grandfather fought at the Battle of Nazi. Horrible shit. Just horrible. I'm gonna never forget the Battle of Nazi. Oh,
man, remember the Battle of Saddam that we fought in the 90s? But yeah, my grandfather was a paratrooper at the Battle of Nazi. While we're talking about locations, can I just muse on the fact that Jackson Briggs' family owns a farm, but in a previous game, his bio said he was from Brooklyn?
Did it really?
Yes, that's...
Which,
I think it was MK4.
Seriously? Because
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
It was in, like a strategy guide or the instruction booklet that came with the game, I forget which,
Google
but it
this
definitely
shit
said
right
he's from
now.
Brooklyn, New York.
Jackson Briggs, Brooklyn. Sorry for the complete clacking, folks.
Show up on Google or not if it was in one of those strategy guides.
Let's see. Brooklyn Briggs has a Twitter. Briggs _ Brooklyn has a Twitter. Bo Briggs Hair Editions in Brooklyn, New York. Oh, this class is hard. But I'll take your word for it.
All right, well, it was the same thing that said Kai's from Detroit, which I'm sure is canon because his alt costume was like a t-shirt and jeans. And it
Makes sense to
literally
me.
says in his bio he met Lou in America.
Fair enough.
So, anyway, the Briggs family farm. Sonia and Johnny are returning Jacqui to her father. And you like to read the dialogue. Do you want to do that?
Well, I guess we have a little bit more time, so we can...
Yeah, we're only covering 3 today. We can probably handle it. I honestly didn't expect the last episode to run so long, but it was really important we document all the different faces Kentaro wears.
If you haven't seen my collage, check it out, folks. It's a fucking work of art. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, that's on our Facebook group where we chat with our fans. It's
Unfortunately,
quite the image.
I searched near, far, and wide for anything semi-official. The only thing that I left out was, like, the prototype Tony the Tiger Kintaro phase that they had before MK2 that they were going to go with. I actually meant to sneak in, well, not so subtly, put in a actual Tony the Tiger picture in there, but it just slipped my mind. I let it go without so much snark.
That's
Anyhow,
a shame.
The dialogue. Now that we got you back, Jacqui, I know. I'm never allowed off the farm again. That was my first inclination. Lucky for you, Bold, your mother convinced me otherwise. Instead, you're going to learn to use one of these. Hands her a gun. And in an absolutely horrifying image on this next page.
Yeah, her
seriously,
face is...
Jackie's face. She's being handed a gun, and she looks like the little leprechauns just told her to burn things.
Yeah,
What is going on with this expression? I'm sorry. No, this is not how you look when someone hands you a gun.
That you take the gun back immediately if someone makes this face.
Thought she said the only way I ever held a gun is if I joined Special Forces. Is how I'm picturing that.
That is the appropriate voice, yes.
I did say that, but that was when I thought I could protect my little girl. Continuing the parade of horrible... What is going on? Has this artist seen a face?
Wait a second. Just pause for a moment.
Sure.
Jax is, like, Jackie's like 16 here, right?
Supposedly.
And so Jax is like, I thought I could protect my little girl, implying that, like, she lives with him. And, like, he thought he could watch over her all the time because she was still under his roof, is the implication.
Implication, not outright statement.
When Cassie and Jacqui first got involved in the plot, they were hanging out at Johnny Cage's apartment in Los Angeles. Where the fuck is this farm?
Alright, I'm gonna be fair, but it's possible that that's not what they're implying, you know? Maybe it just means in the sense that he wants to keep her out of the army, which I typically understand.
I guess.
what wasn't, like, didn't actually touch on that in the MKX plot, actually? He didn't want her going in, but she did anyway.
Well, yeah, but, like, this is a point where she's got to be not 18 yet if she hasn't joined the military. Presumably. Especially because she's, like, at the beginning of the comic, she's in the Junior Olympics, I think?
Something like that.
So, she's probably still a minor. So she does presumably live at home, especially if, like, Johnny and Sonia are returning her to her home in this issue.
I don't know. I've known a lot of minors in my time that moved out way before they hit 18.
It's possible. It's possible. I'm
gonna be nice. I'm gonna let it pass.
It seems odd. I feel like and maybe this is a flaw with the game itself. The idea that Cassie and Jacqui were friends and hung out as kids before they were in the army couldn't possibly be true if they lived in separate states. I don't know.
Yeah. Since it's actually just not expressed outright, for me, the implication is that she just wanted to keep her out of the army. She's probably had it drummed into her head for years. You're not going down my path. You're going to be something like a doctor or a lawyer. Something American.
Joining the army is not American.
No.
Becoming a lawyer is, though.
Not in this day and age.
No, that sounds about right, actually.
So anyway. Again, caveat, folks. I'm Canadian. I don't know what constitutes being American, and I make no claims to the contrary.
It depends on whether you're above or below the Mason-Dixon line.
You guys have a line called the Mason-Dixon line?
Yeah, it's at the bottom of Pennsylvania. It separates the north from the south.
Oh man, I'm going to have to devote a couple of good solid weeks to making up jokes about the Dixon line. I'll see you next week on the Netherkast, folks. I got work to do.
So anyway, the point is, there's a nice comforting moment here as Jacqui reunites with her parents.
Or there would be if her face didn't look like some form of Walking Dead thing in this next panel. She's got this, like, tell me about the rabbits, George, dead-eyed kind of expression. I don't know what's going on here. The eyes are off. No. The art here does not do the job for me. So yeah, she's bonding. Maybe we should, like, just stop with the dialogue entirely. I might be stopping every second. I don't know.
Facial expressions are hard.
Yes. Anyway, that aside, yeah, nice little bonding time here. Gives her old man a hug. I'm never quitting on you, Daddy. I swear to God, I've never known anyone call, like, their father Daddy in my entire life. It's like one of those Hollywood expressions that you never hear. Has anyone ever out there actually called their dad Daddy? I mean, I guess boys don't do it, so I never did. I can't
speak for everyone. I know girls tend to do it when they're still little.
I guess. There's a guy at work that asked me to call him Daddy, but that's neither here nor there.
Alright, so moving on to the next page.
Indeed. Sonia wearing her best dad-ass face.
Yeah, just biting her bottom lip. In fact, I think everyone on this page bites their bottom lip in one panel or another.
Oh god, yeah, the image of Johnny at the very bottom. I'm gonna have to rant about that for just a second.
He is looking directly down his own daughter's shirt. That is wrong.
Okay, so before we get to this beginning of the parade of eternal shame and horror, so we've got Johnny, Sonia, and Cassie off to the side, and that's what I call a Hollywood ending. Oh, they deserve a happy ending. And here Sonia goes, let's move out. I need to brief my staff on this Reiko Accord with Outworld. So here we have it in print.
Yep, that's the first, last, and only time I'm pretty sure they actually say that phrase.
I think that they mentioned it close to the end last time, that they're going to form some sort of accord.
Yeah, they use the word accord, but now they're actually calling it the Reiko Accord.
And they never actually specify the important part, what that entails. Sad.
Well, I'm okay with them not elaborating, because it means that I can either choose to believe this comic is or isn't canon.
Oh, don't bullshit.
All I need to know is that at some point, Earth and Outworld struck up an alliance in order to defeat Reiko in a fight.
We both know that you've made your decision. This isn't canon to you.
Yeah.
It's not canon to me. It's not going to be canon to you.
Honestly, nothing's been canon since Armageddon to me, so...
enough. So at the very bottom of this panel, after Johnny comments on, how everything's back to normal, he leans over in Cassie's ear and goes, after we drop Colonel Hardass off at the base, how about you and I take a dad-daughter detour? See a show in Vegas, camp under the stars, visit a theme park, unless you're too old for that now.
Which would be perfectly harmless father-daughter bonding without that face.
That face, that mouth, the closed eyes, the fact that Cassie looks vaguely uncomfortable. There is so much wrong with this panel. There is so much wrong, and I think you know what. And I'm not going to dwell on it, just to say, ew, gross. Next page.
So yeah, Cassie says, that sounds awesome, but I think I need to spend some time at the base with Mom for now, so...
And yeah, she blows him off, and he looks a bit surprised and saddened and hurt. And she's got a monstrously long left arm in this panel. Dear God, what is going on?
Proportions are hard.
She's pulling a Dalsim here. This isn't
it's
just
a little
hard.
Stretched. It's a little stretched.
This is a failing grade in anatomy. This is low standardized test scores, is what I'm looking at here. This is not good.
There should at least be a thumb on there, yeah.
Like, not even any semblance of something tapering towards her wrist, just yoga. Anyway.
We might be a little hard on it.
No, we're really not. This is like 4 separate...
Look, it could be worse, is all I'm saying. It could be Malibu art,
It could be, but I think there are actually some genuinely good parts of Malibu. Just there have been some genuinely good parts of this comic.
I like the Kitana and Melina issue, but...
That was nice. And as I mentioned, I liked some of the Havoc shots of the last couple of issues. Some of this stuff is pretty good when you get Dexter Soy on it.
Yeah,
I don't believe that Dexter Soy is here this issue. He's not one of them.
No, it's, these last 3 issues are not Soy.
Anyway. So yeah, she blows him off and wants to spend a bit more time with
it's not so much
mom.
that she blows him off as we're seeing that she's actually trying to spend time with her mom. Like, they're not arguing like they were at the start of this story arc.
Fair enough. Sonia biting her lower lip again. I said, move out, soldiers. Ma'am, yes, ma'am. And does she have 5 fingers and a thumb? What's going on?
The pinky's drawn a little weird, but it's regular for fingers and a thumb. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
It's
gonna be fine. It's all gonna be fine.
I wish I could believe you. So, off Cassie heads with her mom.
Yeah. Then we cut to...
Possibly my favorite part of this issue. Sorry, go on.
Yep, the Shirai Ryu Temple in the Himalayan mountains. Where...
We cut to a graveyard.
Yes, it's a graveyard. Takeda is constructing a graveyard for all the ninjas Forest Fox killed while possessed.
And
Finally.
I personally just find it really fucking
After,
hilarious.
6 months, he's finally getting around to burying them.
We cut to the Shirai Temple, which is a graveyard. Not so much a temple as a graveyard.
Well, there is a temple in the distance.
Yeah, it's back there. What I'm saying is, I just find it really fucking hilarious that after the phrase Shirai Temple, the first thing you see is a bunch of graves.
That's true.
History never changes. History repeats itself.
There's something about that really bothers me about, this comic. The whole idea that... So the game went to the trouble of bringing Scorpion back to life and having him build a new clan. And the first thing the comic does is kills off that clan and says, oh, we'll just rebuild it off panel at the end of this. And the second thing the comic does is it kills Hanzo again.
Yep. Which, as we know from the game, not so much a thing.
No. He, We actually never see him with, the eyes turning white at any point in story mode.
Hanzo made it through MK10 completely and totally alive.
He got to keep his fire powers, but that was already true before he died in this comic.
So if you're looking for evidence on how well to take this thing in terms of canonicity, the answer should be starting to creep up on you right about now.
And it actually gets worse in a little bit here, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it.
I'd like to note for the long-time listeners and viewers, the graveyard is covered in scorpions.
Covered with scorpions.
It literally is. There is a scorpion on every headstone.
Covered with scorpions.
Was that shown at any point in 10? I don't think I remember, but at any point, was a scorpion the actual symbol of the clan? I don't remember seeing it.
Takeda has one on his headband.
Okay,
in the
fair
game.
enough.
But this logo bothers me really badly, because the logo is not just like a picture of a scorpion. It's drawn like just a yellow scorpion outline here, but in, the more detailed version Takeda actually wears has kunais for pincers, like the claws on the front of a scorpion's body.
Right.
That's not what the spear is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the stinger tail. He's called Scorpion because he stings people when he throws the spear. So why is the spear not drawn on his stinger? Whatever. I don't even like the Shirai Ryu having a logo.
Didn't they have their own one back in Mythologies? I feel
They have never had a logo. In fact, the Lin Kuei's logo that's in the games now was invented by the Conquest TV show. It didn't appear in Mythologies either.
That little circle triangular thing.
Yeah.
Which I actually have no problem with.
I like that logo. It looks kind of like a shuriken, so it's sort of ninja-y, but it's not like a specific... Like, it's not a picture of an ice cube or something cliche, if the Shirai Ryu was going to have a logo, why is it a fucking scorpion? Like, I get that he's the leader now, but wouldn't he use the old logo from before he died? He wasn't the leader then.
He does have a hot head full of fire.
It seems a little egotistical, I think. Like when the Shirai Ryu he died, he went, fine, I'm going to build my own Shirai Ryu with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah. I've always seen Scorpion as a slightly
in the logo.
egotistical guy, to be fair. But this does seem a tad much.
It's, he's big on honor, and I don't know that he's honoring the memory of the fallen by making the clan logo his own personal picture.
Oh, well. So, he's burying Forrest Fox here.
Yeah.
Apparently the very last one. Oh, no, the next to last one.
I like that somebody in this comic is remembering Fox, because for 6 months he was not mentioned.
No. Havoc brought him up last time.
Yeah, that's true. At the end fight he did, but before that, 6 months of nothing. Like, they just kind of forgot about him.
People were just... I think that we're just kind of taking that as a bit of a reaction to the fan base's outcry about it at the start of things. It's like, oh my god, Forrest Fox is totally going to be a character in the game. I think we made him out to be a bit more important than we thought he was going to be in the long run.
Well, he got his own concept art when the comic was announced. That gave the illusion of importance.
There's probably like concept art for every single fucking character. Well, not every.
Yeah, but they didn't release it all.
Of...
They released specific characters.
It's totally done as a tease to get people into the comic and see what kind of new interesting characters that they might throw in. But I personally didn't think of Forrest Fox since he was bisected. I don't know.
Well, when you put it that way, if you think about it, Fox is the only new guy this comic introduces.
That's not true.
That's created from scratch.
That's not true at all. We had at least 50 different members of the Tigrar race.
Fair point. None of them were given names, though.
All right.
Well, I guess Kotal's dad kind of counts as a unique guy.
Hey, there you go. There was that guy. God, who again I completely forgot about. To be fair, I'm trying to put as much of this comic as I possibly can behind me.
That's what the wine's for, right?
Oh God, yes.
So anyway, Takeda mourns Fox's death and buries him, and puts up the headstone, which doesn't have his name on it, just a picture of a scorpion. So they're all buried in unmarked graves.
And as he lays the very last headstone in and hammers it down, fire begins to erupt from the ground behind him.
Well, before that, he says, "Last one's for you, Grandmaster," because, as far as he knows, Scorpion is still dead.
Yes. So he puts that down. Fire from behind him. And out from the dirt in the fire comes Hanzo, apparently being roped very, very viciously by Moloch. And I should comment on Moloch's design in this comic. He's a lot more bipedal than the game ever made him out to be.
Well,
bipedal is not the right word.
He hunches less.
Proportion. The proportion of his head is totally different.
Yeah.
His head is just normalized.
His mohawk is more pronounced.
Yeah. Like, I could actually picture this version of Moloch popping up in the older MK games and having the same moves as everybody else. That's how normal he looks in comparison. Anyway. Roarg! Nice little
he doesn't have his giant ball, so that's kind of a shame.
Yes,
like the most famous thing about him, other than being blue and three-eyed, and he's got a chain on his arm and no ball attached to it.
Just like Drama doesn't have his friggin' mask.
Yeah.
I guess they really figure no one cares.
Yeah, they must. Which is a shame, because I actually do.
I enjoyed those two, for what they were. Would have made a really, really good combined sub-boss.
Drahman's one of my favorite characters from the 3D era.
He would be mine too, I think, if they'd actually gone ahead and done something with him.
Yeah, I mean, I like him more for his potential than what he actually was. But he had a really cool design, so...
That's basically how I felt about Dairu, minus the design part. More the role part. Basically, I really love the fact that we actually had an honest-to-God bounty hunter in MK. It's just a shame that he looked boring and his movies were all copy-pasted garbage.
Yeah. Well, we got Aaron
Black
now,
for that now. So, Hanzo crawls away from Moloch, still gripping his shin, and Moloch's like, "You're not escaping Netherrealm that easy!" And he's hit in the head by the hammer as a result, because Takeda's just tossed it, kind of caving in a little bit of his skull there, and blood flowing out of his nose, and this is apparently enough to knock him back through the portal, which closes.
Yep. So then Hanzo says, "Thanks for the assist." Takeda's like, "But how? You died. Then your ghost took havoc." And he says, "People like to say they've been to hell and back. I happen to know the way by heart."
Big shit-eating grin. Remember when crossing realms actually meant something?
Well, to be fair, Scorpion, when he was Scorpion, always had the canon ability to teleport out of hell whenever the fuck he wanted. Like, it was firmly established, especially in Deadly Alliance, that if you kill him, he doesn't stay dead. Like, the same day, he'll come back for you.
Not always. Ultimate MK3.
It varied. Like, he couldn't escape hell without help in MK3, that's true. But, well, I guess Deadly Alliance explained it by saying he'd gotten more powerful, because the more time he spends in hell, the stronger he gets.
I can live with that.
But the reason this bothers me now is because he's not Scorpion anymore. He's Hanzo.
He shouldn't be able to get out of hell just like that.
Yeah, Kittleson has not resurrected him. He is right back to being Scorpion. Except now he has a human face. And he doesn't have to work for Quan Chi. So, it's like, did you just completely ignore the point of what happened in MKX, or what?
I don't think he even got a finished script. So, we move on, not for the troll face. Hanzo is impressed by the graveyard, asks him if he did this, and Hanzo tells him he's still too young and impulsive to become Chujin, Takeda, but you are the pride of the Shirai Ryu. So Takeda thanks him and asks him, there's something that he needs to know. What did you do with Havoc?
And we cut to the Netherrealm, where Havoc's head is just sitting on the ground, ranting, "Netherrealm is doomed to chaos, as are all realms, known and unknown. Even now you perpetuate the creative destruction," and then he's cut off.
Someone steps on him, sends bits of Havoc
rushes his head.
Everywhere.
So this is something I wanted to talk about. We touched on it briefly last episode, but when we talked about it then, Havoc was powered by blood magic and was able to heal his wounds rapidly while talking with red speech bubbles. Here we see him as a decapitated head with normal speech bubbles, although they're drawn a little spiky. I think that's just to show that like his voice is hoarse or something like that, because he's
not having
no
vocal
neck.
cords might do that to you.
Yeah. But where I'm going with this is, okay, so Havoc can't die. And that's not a surprise. The man is already missing most of his flesh and doesn't seem to be bothered by that. In fact, that's pretty much true of anyone from Chaos Realm. Like, I think the idea is the rules of life and death, the rules of nature, because they're rules, Chaos Realm, they don't apply.
That might be a nice way to look at it. Let's see that backed up at some point.
Yes, it would be nice to be elaborated on, but that's where I think that's where I'm going with this. Which, I mean, it goes with the fact that his moves all involve him breaking his own bones and then snapping them right back into place like it's no problem. He's
clearly not built like any of us.
So the reason I bring this up, that he can survive things that would otherwise kill other people, is the fact that we're seeing his head squished into pieces of skull and brain matter. Like, this is about as definitive as a death as you can get. So the question is, can he still come back from this? And the answer is, it doesn't matter, because he's in hell right now. Where do you think he's going to go? If you die in hell, you respawn in hell.
Maybe that's a bit too orderly for him.
That's true. It would be a nice twist if a Chaos Realmer dies in hell, they respawn in a completely different realm at random.
Sado, for giggles.
That's another point. It's a shame to have Havoc in a story and Hotaru never shows up.
Again, popularity probably having everything to do with it.
Yeah, that's
People
true.
Loved Havoc. Hotaru,
kind of boring. And my big problem with Hotaru is that he looks like Fujin in a suit of armor. Like, they really didn't look at that character design and go, we've already done the white ponytail?
I feel that...
Could at least, like, not have his eyes glow? Give him a beard? I don't know. Something.
I feel that if Hotaru ever came back, we'd see a bit more of a visual distinction.
I should hope so.
The problem with those 2D models was that everyone really looked rather samey. And I could see them still keeping those elements, or most of them, but keeping him distinct from Fujin if he ever actually did come back. It could happen. Worst case scenario, they give him a beard, and hey, different character.
The beard is working out for most of the cast already. I don't see a problem with that.
With a nice Fu Manchu or something. Hotaru could do some facial hair. Very neatly clipped.
Well, you need to be careful with that, because then he's Shang Tsung instead of Fujin.
Well, Shang Tsung's everyone, so...
That's true.
So, the head stepper is Quan Chi.
Yep.
Havoc refused to deliver the amulet of Shinnok as he promised, even after we bestowed him with Nitara's blood magic. He proved...
So, right there we're establishing the blood magic came from Nitara. Like, he learned those spells that he used to possess people from her. So, now I'm really confused about, like, what the blood magic had to do with the Kamidogus. And also, was there ever really a blood god? Like, was Reiko possessed by Havoc when he ripped himself apart? Or was he possessed by an actual blood god and his body wasn't a fit enough vessel? Or was he possessed by the one being, since it's the Kamidogus that made him the blood god? Like, I don't get it. And if there is really a blood god, is that like the god the vampires worship, and that's why it connects to Nitara? It doesn't really make sense. None of this is explained.
Oh, I've stopped trying to make any kind of sense of it. They never, ever specified who the blood god was, what it could do.
Like, I really think, like, I'm really inclined to believe Havoc made the blood god up entirely just to fuck with Reiko.
Someone asked Kittleson on Twitter, has it been done yet? Seriously.
Somebody needs to, yeah. Maybe that's something to look into for next episode. We'll see if we can get an answer to that.
You do it, Razor. I don't care enough to.
I don't know if I want to talk to Kittleson. His excuses are so lame.
They're probably company-mandated excuses. don't feel too bad.
At least he'll answer my
don't
question.
Don't be too angry. Just see what he can whip up, just to give you that illusion of canonicity and logic.
Yeah, it'll be at least an interesting thought experiment for him, I think.
So, the blood gods connected to the vampires connected to the crazy guy, the crazy guy's connected to the general dude. Does it matter? None of it? No.
I'm not sure it does.
Absolutely nothing. Nope.
Because it's not like Natara shows up. She just gets a name drop, which might actually be for the better, because it means she can't die. Not in this issue, anyway.
So there you go, Natara fans. She's important. Yes. Sort of, we think.
Maybe a little.
So, he proved unreliable. I should commend you both for delivering his head to me. I should. But you two have also proven to be unreliable. And with this, Moloch gets his fucking head cut off.
Yep,
a very familiar fan.
Yep, a steel fan right through the neck. And there's Revenant Katana.
Drummond is, of course, displeased at this fact. And he turns to Quan and Katana and says, "You still need me, Quan Chi. I am a master torturer. In that role, I have never failed you." To which Quan Chi replies, "I would trade 1,000 of you for one Hanzo Hasashi." And with that, he just sort of casts his green magical energy spells at Drummond and does something, because now Drummond is nothing but a glowing skeleton.
Yeah,
he stripped away everything that he was, I suppose.
Rips the skin off his bones and then steps on the bones.
And that is the end of Moloch and Drummond.
This is an awful lot of power Quan Chi is showing for somebody who's supposed to be weak because he gets his power from Shinnok. But again, somebody didn't read the MKX script.
I have a feeling that the version of the MKX script he received was probably just the word penis copy-pasted several thousand times. That's the thing.
The credits on the first page say, "Bye, Ed Boon."
I can't. I can't be angry with Sean Kittleson because they probably gave him, again, I reiterate this, they probably gave him shit to work with.
Well, yeah, it's true. It can't be his fault.
They've probably given him very strict guidelines to work with. This is who we want you to work with. This is who you can or maybe even should kill off. That's how these things work. At the end of the day, this is one long, gigantic tie-in product that one poor son of a bitch had the duty to try and clusterfuck into the story as hard as he possibly could. And man, I'm just glad that there's some kind of comic that provides some form of entertainment, be it intentionally or unintentionally hilarious or otherwise.
I mean, my only response to that is, like, when Halo makes a tie-in product, it fits and it's really well written.
More places could learn. More places could learn to treat their tie-in products right. This is what I was expecting, though. I'm glad Halo does it, but fucking Transformers sure as hell doesn't.
No, that's true.
Goddamn reign of Starscream comics. Yeah, that mattered.
Those tattoos all over the jet in Transformers 2, those meant so much.
Yes. So this is what I come in expecting from tie-in products.
That's fair. That's fair.
If this happens in MK, if there's going to be an MK11 comic, I will come in with lovely lowered expectations, and I'll have fun with it for whatever it's worth. But this, none of this comes as a surprise to me, in the least. I'm too cynical and jaded.
Right.
Or maybe just
So Moloch and Drummond are dead, and Quan Chi says, "Until we free Shinnok, neither realm cannot afford such failures. Fortunately, I have more capable players in the game. Welcome back, Liu Kang, Kung Lao."
I see your hat still looks fucking stupid.
Yes, it does. That's the game, though. That's not his fault. So the line, "Welcome back," where were they? Right? Because they haven't been in this comic.
Well, Netherrealm's a big place. There's some of his top lieutenants or lieutenants or whatever the hell you want to call them. They have probably had their own assignments to do. I don't think it matters.
Isn't lieutenant just the British pronunciation of lieutenant?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough.
As a Canadian, I should be saying lieutenant, but I grew up saying lieutenant because I watched G.I. Joe.
What's the French word for lieutenant?
Good question.
Yeah, somebody can write that in for us. So anyway...
Le lieutenant. Sorry. I'm allowed within Quebec.
Alright.
Anyway.
So Liu Kang asks Quan Chi, what are we to make of Havoc's failure? Quan Chi says, it is not a total loss. The amulet was locked away by Raiden and the Kamidogu. Now it is exposed.
Then we go after it, says Katana.
Kung Lao says, Earthrealm and Outworld are on high alert. We must rely on subterfuge for the time being. I suggest we engage Shinnok's newest acolyte, Devora. And
spoiler alert!
Everybody's already played the game, I would hope.
Kotal Khan's imperial might is pathetic compared to the power within the amulet. This one is eager to serve Lord Shinnok.
So...
I like the clicking you added at the end there.
She should click. I don't think she ever clicked in the game.
It would add a little bit to it, I think, yeah.
Yep. So, for those of you who are hoping for an explanation as to why Devora serves Shinnok, nope, maybe next time.
Well, this is as good as it's gonna get, I guess. Like, she saw the amulet in action. She knows how powerful it is. I can imagine a person going, yeah, I'd better get on the side of that before it destroys me.
Exactly. I don't actually have a problem with Devora being a secret Shinnok acolyte or her being Tanya 2.0. I've said it. You know, that's why she was what she was rather than Tanya being there in that position, because we knew or we expected Tanya to be in that position if she came into MKX.
The other thing is, Tanya as the traitor only works in the Edenian royal court.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Edeni in this timeline, so it had to be somebody who's important to the Outworld royal court. And that's my only problem with the Devora being a mole for Shinnok thing is this explanation in the comic actually doesn't really sync up timeline-wise, because Quan Chi suggests that Devora was a plant from the very moment she became a member of the royal court. Like, from the moment she got close to the throne, she was always working for Shinnok. And canonically, she's been close to the throne since Shao Kahn was still in power. So, like, the idea that she switched sides to Shinnok, like, 5 years before MKX, as opposed to having been working for Shinnok from the very beginning, I don't think it actually lines up. But, again, comic's not canon, who cares?
Pretty much.
I guess. So that's a failing of the game. I mean, I can
actually, though, realistically believe that you had someone working for Shao Kahn at all times who's probably the Netherrealm liaison.
Yeah.
Whether Kahn knows about it or not. I mean, that's actually one of the things I found kind of funny in passing about UMK3/MK trilogy. Like, a good quarter of Kahn's main entourage was actually secretly working for Shinnok.
Well, there was at the very least Noob Saibot and Melina were moles.
Pretty much.
And it always amused me, like, the ones who weren't moles are actively seeking to betray him at some point.
Yeah.
Like, Reptile's not on his side, Rain's not on his side, even Baraka wants to, like, kill him and be king. The only guy, I think, in all of Trilogy who's actually loyal to Shao Kahn is Ermac.
And even then, he didn't really want to be.
That's because of mind control, so...
Actually, Motaro. Probably Motaro as well.
Yeah, that's true. But Motaro
Shiva was until she found out. And because from Deception on, they had Tanya wandering around the Outworld palaces or whatever, I just retroactively have her placed as Khan's servant. So I figure, yeah, her too, why not?
I don't know. I always figured that pre-MK4, Tanya was probably a member of the Edenian Rebellion. I don't think she was ever a member of Khan's court. Like, that's sort of how... Like, in my mind, even though she dresses like a ninja without the mask, I've never seen her as part of the Kitana, Melina, and Jade entourage. Like, she's not an assassin for Outworld.
No, but I mean... I could see her being on Khan's side, but without actually being kind of overt.
The other thing is, well...
She's also been kind of a pick-the-winning-side person anyway.
True, actually, but before MK4, she lived with her father, who was still alive, who was an Edenian ambassador. That's not a guy who would have been working under Shao Kahn and just, like, switched sides to Sindel when the realms were freed. That's a guy who would have always been working against Kahn, I think.
All the more reason for the little ones to grow up and rebel against their parents and work for the establishment. I honestly really do have a hard time believing that she wasn't turning some sort of tricks for Shao Kahn's forces on the side. I don't know. She might have been feeding them information direct from her dad. She's a terrible person.
I don't know. I've always envisioned Tanya as someone who didn't break bad until MK4, and it was specifically because she was a member of the court, but wanted to be more powerful in it, like she was jealous of Kitana and shit. And so Quan Chi shows up and he's like, well, I need a mole so I can take over Denia. This person seems easy to manipulate, and that's how Tanya became a bad guy.
I do wonder how she started working for Shinnok, though. Did they cover that? I don't remember right now. I've had a bit of wine. Anyhow, I can really see it going either way.
The point is, Devora, I'm not sure this lines up, but I do appreciate Kittleson, attempting to weave it into the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not explained in the game. It's really a failing of the game, not the comic.
So, there you go.
Yeah. So then we cut to...
Pura Bratan, Bali.
Yes, that's in Asia, on Earthrealm.
You returned so quickly, boy, says Master Boraicho. He's not as morbidly obese as we're used to seeing him. They really slimmed him down a bit for this game. Comics, game.
I like it better. There's...
It's less over the top. I like it. It would be wrong if he lost all of his heft.
Yeah, no, he should still be, stocky and, thick.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to, jiggle like Rufus, though. He can be more of a... the build you want is like Sammo Hung.
Precisely. Exactly. Anyway,
that's what gives you the idea of a fat guy who's still good at martial arts, yeah.
So Boraicho approaches this mystery man with an envelope for him on the docks. This mystery man has a bow and quiver.
Playing it's Kung Jin. This is his alt costume.
Come on, you wouldn't let me have a bit of fun with it? Aww.
Well, anybody who's actually looking at the picture is not confused at all.
This is fair.
There's a big gold bow with a dragon on the top. He's wearing that black ninja suit from when he robbed Raiden's Sky Temple in the cutscene.
You're sure it's not just a mystery Shiryu from the wonderful mobile game? They were black too.
Those guys had yellow on their armor.
This has a bit of yellow on them.
That's brown.
You let me have no fun. Just none.
I will sandbag your every attempt.
It's Kung fucking Jin. All right, let's move on. All right. So Kung Jin says, it's all here. And your theft was not discovered? That's what you pay me for. Handing him the envelope. I knew your uncle. Trained him once upon a time. I could recommend you to the Shaolin Temple. Hands him a bag of gold. And Kung Jin replies, let's just say I'd be a square peg at the Shaolin Temple. You have a warrior's heart, Kung Jin. Why do you deny it? With all due respect, Mr. Raicho, you knew Kung Lao. You don't know me. Or my heart. My gay heart. Because that's what they're totally talking about.
Well, obviously, but Is his last name Raicho, not just Cho? I always figured Rai was the middle name or something. It's not even
sit here and be pretend to be in the least knowledgeable about how that name's supposed to work.
Yeah, it's an outworld name. It's a fantasy name. They can do whatever they want with it. I just feel like Master Cho would sound better.
Didn't they say Master Cho in Deception?
Or
did they just
maybe.
say Master Bor? I know that.
I think he always said the whole name in Deception, Master Bo Raicho.
Yeah, Apep said Master Bo Raicho.
But I like Master Cho because there was a character named Master Cho in the Conquest TV show. He was a completely different character, except for the fact that he was a martial arts teacher, and he briefly taught the great Kung Lao. The plot of that episode was that this Master Cho guy was the guy who taught Shang Tsung before Shang went bad.
Ah, this rings a very distant bell.
Yeah,
yes.
and then Kung Lao finds out that Master Cho can also steal souls, and he has to do it to stay alive. He only drains enough to make people sick rather than killing them, but that's still enough that Kung Lao's like, look, I can't, you gotta get out of town, you're a bad guy by my morality, so... But I always sort of like the idea that maybe Bo Raicho and that guy were the same guy on a certain, like, headcanon level. Because I like the idea that maybe Bo' Rai Cho taught Shang Tsung before Shang was a bad guy.
It's an interesting idea.
I'd like more Shang Tsung backstory, I guess is all I'm saying.
I think we all would. The time's probably passed where, like, him having no backstory is doing more damage. Well, I'm going to say damage, but the enigma is kind of gone.
He's an almost 25-year-old character. Anybody from the original trilogy should probably be more fleshed out than they are at this point.
We know more about Shao Kahn now than we do about Shang. That always struck me as weird.
Even so, even then we don't quite know enough about Khan. Like, we don't know why he went crazy and killed Onaga and took the throne, but that's neither here nor there. Everybody in MK has this big hole in their backstory somewhere. Except Sub-Zero and Kitana. They're pretty well fleshed out. Johnny, not really mysterious.
I never found there was anything wrong with Melina until 9 came along.
Yeah, well, that's MK9 for you. But
yeah.
But I digress.
So
Bo' Rai Cho has received an envelope of something stolen that he hired Kung Jin to steal.
Nearby, a gauntleted hand tests its might. Looks like the material is wood. And sorry, Sub-Zero, I'm not very
wood in one panel and a pile of stone in the next.
The pile next to it appears to be wood. That's why I say.
Yeah, that's fair. The point is, it's Sub-Zero.
Yes.
He's over here working out.
He's completed the first level of Test Your Might. Getting back into shape.
You gotta start slow, baby steps.
The question is, did he breathe deeply as he did so? And did techno music start playing in the background? Anyway.
How hard did he mash?
Kuai Liang, our thief has done his job. That was fast. A talented but troubled young thief. I'll ask Raiden to keep an eye on him. And Bo opens the envelope to find a small USB stick with a skull and crossbones on it. In case you couldn't tell, this is dangerous.
Yeah, I like that touch. It's important. It's a visual shorthand.
Someone out there had some fun. This is it. This is it. Finally, says Sub-Zero, holding the USB key aloft. Finally time to shut down the Cyber Lin Kuei. Ending the issue.
Yep.
I guess calling them the Cyber Lin Kuei makes sense, but, you know, I still kind of call them the Lin Kuei without the cyber, even though
you don't really need that. It's like, you call them Cyber Sub-Zero and Cyber Smoke, but you don't call it Cyber Sector or Cyber Cyrax.
It's a minor quibble. So we cut to the next issue then, which opens near Shulianghu, China. God, I hope I didn't pronounce that in offensive fashion.
I'm sure you did as best as you could. It's probably close enough.
So Bo and Sub are standing in the middle of a jungle, looking at a rather imposing seeming metal door frame with a security camera directly over it. As Sub explains, it's an old fallout shelter, independent power, completely off-grid, connected to an old system of iron and tantalum mines. Perfect hideaway for an army of cyborg ninjas.
Can we pause a second?
Yes, we can.
I hadn't noticed this until you just now said it. There is indeed a security camera above this door.
Yes.
And Bo' Rai Cho and Sub-Zero are standing right in front of it, out in the open.
That was one of my major problems with this whole thing when I first started reading it. I'm glad you see what I'm getting at.
So right away, the Lin Kuei should already know there are intruders outside the door. Just throwing that out there.
Pretty much.
Next panel.
This door is the only way in or out. Any machines that try to escape receive a stern lesson in Jojutsu, because that was one of the fighting styles in the games I'm famous for being in.
That's what you call it when you hit somebody with a stick. The cane.
That joke was a bad one. Anyway. Sub uncharacteristically replies, "Damn right," and sets about freezing the door so it'll shatter. Think they're waiting for you? Counting on it.
Oh,
Well,
there's a
yes.
close-up of the fucking camera. I never
Yes.
noticed that.
Seriously?
Well, I should have because it's so large, but I guess I didn't have my brain on all the way the first time I read through this issue.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a close-up right on that fucking camera.
So, with the door frozen, Sub steals back and smashes his fist through it. And this begins one of, actually, I find to be the coolest things about this entire series. The art in the panels themselves isn't much to write home about. It's the perspective in which they're drawn.
Yeah, the vast majority of this issue is drawn entirely from a side perspective, like a beat 'em up game, like a reference to MK Mythologies.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I first started reading this. And yeah, I'm just totally picturing the probably the Immortality Bridge stage music as I'm picturing this. Do 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 do. Anyway, actually no, that was the Hell Prison. Anyway, so Sub bursts through the door almost immediately. Airlock breached. Target acquired.
One of the gray cyber mooks shoots
airlock?
a missile at him.
Is this the airlock?
I guess if it was airtight down there, you'd call it the airlock. I don't know why it would need to be airtight, but maybe Sector's big on sterile environments.
I guess. So
there is a guy down here waiting for Sub to come through the door and shoots a missile at him. But there's only one guy in this entire hallway.
That's how the level starts out. There's just the one guy to get you ready for the fights that are to follow. He's the training dummy.
I just feel like if you knew an intruder was coming, you'd front load your defense a little better.
At any rate, Sub slides under the missile that he fires, starts punching him in the face. Next page, he rips him clean in half, keeps going, slides down a flight of stairs, comes up to another door, freezes it, bursts through. Now he's in a server room of some sort, which is very glowing, green and glowing.
Yeah.
And he puts his USB stick with a completely different crossbow. Well, just a skull on it now.
Yeah, now it was a yellow skull at Crossbones. Now it's just a red skull.
Hail Hydra.
Also, wasn't the stick itself red last issue? Now it's blue.
Yes, it was. This is a different stick.
It's fine.
Maybe Bo Right Show gave it to him. Better storage capacity or something. I don't know. Maybe the Cyber Ninja systems weren't compatible with anyhow.
So he plugs it in, and it immediately downloads the virus, because that's how USBs work.
Yes. And of course, every light immediately turns red in the building.
Well, that is how security works.
I guess.
If you've ever watched any television show or movie.
It's always bothered me, though. Always. Anyway.
Somewhere in a room we can't see off screen, Captain Kirk just said red alert.
Rogue Lin Kuei located. Positive ID. Kuai Liang, a.k.a. Sub-Zero. And there's another Cyber Ninja just off to the left of the server, off to the right of the servers, who Sub-Zero now sets about attacking. He dodges the high kick as the PA says, capturing for conversion. Looks like he gives him a bit of a hug as he breaks his back.
I think he caught his arm in his arm, like he caught the opponent's arm in his own armpit and like broke it. And then with his free hand, he makes an ice sword and he stabs it through the guy's face.
Yes. And that's almost the end of our 2D side-scrolling perspective as he emerges into a very, very large warehouse area where there's a lot of high-tech machinery and pumps and energy and whatnot.
Yep, and conveyor belts and factory machines.
Your typical double dragon arena or whatever have you.
So
we've got a number of identical Cyber Ninja protoforms, I guess, in yellow tanks along the ceiling. And Sub says, "You couldn't stop it converting to Lin Kuei, could you, Sector? Had to clone them too." Sick son of a... As he jumps to the bottom of this entire place, which is crawling with Cyber Ninjas, most of them apparently inactive or standing.
Yeah, they're just standing there along the wall, like at the very end of the third Matrix movie. All the extra Agent Smiths who just watch.
So you got about 4 or 5 of them up front who just immediately attack him, and they subdue him for about half of a second until he just does his little, I don't know what the hell you call that, ice bursting move and forms two swords and hacks one guy in half as he gets them all off of him. And no, we're back to the 2D perspective for the next panel, as most of the Cyber Ninjas continue to remain inactive as more come at him from the right. And he grabs one by the head, flips over him while saying heads up while removing his head, and forms another quarry blade. And
it's all right to make a pun if it's not an ice pun.
They just had to go there. They just did.
It's not like he said you need to chill out.
So, 3 more of them stabbed in the head by a quarry blade. Next panel, Sub-Zero's freezing another 3 of them, kicking another one's head off out of the 3. Next panel, he's off to the side a little bit, and 3 of them finally give him a bit of a friendly hug, which appears to subdue him. He must be prepared for conversion. You won't convert me again. Never! Where are you taking me? He asks unnecessarily. To the master. From here, we cut to the central control room, apparently, deep underground.
It's like the Bat Cave.
It really does. Complete with a soft, glowing light and everything. The stalactites everywhere.
Well, there's no chair in front of the Bat computer, but I guess robots don't need to sit.
The Lin Kuei need no comfort. So we have Cyrax operating the main console as Sector approaches him. Sector says the situation is escalating too quickly, Cyrax. Status update. The virus originated from a developer in Chicago.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Midway!
Yes.
Neither wrong.
Oh, God. I can't even be angry at that one.
I think Mike Boone, using the Unreal 3 engine, programmed a virus that works on Cyber Ninjas.
We do not know how Sub-Zero obtained it. Damage so far? None. 94% of the Lin Kuei network is infected, with no discernible effect on functionality. We may not know what it's doing until it's too late. Before that happens... At this point, the 2 clone Cyber Ninjas holding Sub-Zero arrive through the doors. Master Sector, Sub-Zero is ready for conversion. Welcome back to the Lin Kuei, Schrader. I'm not back, Sector, and this isn't the Lin Kuei. It's a failed experiment. And for his troubles, he gets Rocket Punch!
Yes, Sector's hand disconnects. I don't remember him being able to do that in the game.
You know what? It's an ability that Cyrax displays in his old MK3 teleports. I'm ready to believe in it.
In all of Cyrax's teleports, I've never seen Sector do it, and I like that it can be used to punch. Like, I'm more complaining that it's not in the games because I want it to be.
Come on, admit it. You just want to scream Rocket Punch a la MVC Sentinel, because I know I do.
Maybe
Rocket Punch was the best troll move ever.
It's a good move.
So, you still reject us? Fine. Answer one question and we will mercifully terminate you. And I'll stop here for a second and say I actually don't mind the artwork for most of this issue.
Yeah, the Sub-Zero parts, like I said this last episode, but now that we're here, these are really well drawn. I think these are my favorite, art-wise, my favorite issues since the very first arc when Dexter Soy was drawing Takeda's origin story.
The long shots are nothing to write home about. All those little side-scrolling segments.
Yeah, they're zoomed out so they can afford to be less detailed. But whenever it's a close-up of, Sub-Zero's face or Sector or Cyrax, it's really well done.
It bears paying attention to. So definitely props on this one. I rather enjoy. What is your virus doing to our system? Fixing it. Cyrax, initiate emergency emergency memory dump. So it's at 98% now, according to this rising scale, as Sub-Zero begins collecting cold in his hands. Now, Cyrax. I cannot. Something is wrong. 99%. As Sub escapes his bonds, freezing the 2 Lin Kuei holding him. Or maybe something's right. One thing I've learned, you can temporarily override someone's conscience. As Sector fires a missile, of course, which hits one of these clone Cyber Ninjas that Sub uses as a shield. But you can't delete their humanity.
And I like on this close-up of Sub's eyes, he's specifically colored in, like, the one that's scarred has a white pupil.
It's a great touch.
Yeah, I've liked that ever since. I think the first time they did it in a game was versus DC Universe. But I really like the idea that that eye itself, the eyeball, was wounded when he got scarred, and maybe he can't even see out of it.
It makes sense. Anything to say on the nature of overriding someone's conscience versus their soul, like we used to believe was the gospel? Because I'm okay with this. I used to wish that they would just get it fucking straight. Is it their souls that are overwritten? Like, was John Tobias' words gospel? Because MKX 9, and now this comic appear to be saying more to the effect of, you're actually brainwashed and you're put under direct slave routine unit.
Well, here's the way I always read it, is that there's a direct connection between the mind and the soul. And, like, your free will is, like, part of that spiritual energy. So if a computer was hooked to your brain and you were programmed to behave a certain way, as the cyber ninjas are, then it would suppress your soul, and it would become undetectable, like it's not there, but it still is. As opposed to, like if your soul was extinguished, then you'd be more dead than dead. Like, you can't come back from that. That's the one thing. The reason anybody can be resurrected in Mortal Kombat is because souls are immortal. So it would seem to violate some kind of logic if it was possible, by making someone a robot, to kill their soul. So the only other options are either the soul is still in their body, it just can't be found because it's buried deep, or it has somehow left their body and is floating around like a ghost and will return when their programming is undone. And that doesn't work either, because the whole idea in MK3 was it had to be that their souls were actually, like, submerged, missing or suppressed, because they could not be sucked up by Khan's magic.
And it's the only way that Smoke's ending, whether or not you want to take it as canon, actually works. Because it specifies that he still does have a soul under there. He realizes this or recovers it at some point.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, like, it's like a light bulb that's so dim it looks like it's off, but there's just a little bit of spark left.
Pretty well.
Is how I sort of picture it.
Pretty well.
And when they get their free will back, the light comes back on all the way.
If they wanted to in the first place, which is the difference between Cyrax and Smoke and Sector. Sector's happy the way he is. Anyhoot. 100%. Infection complete. Slaving protocols disengaged. And Sector locks onto him with a shoulder predator homing tracker lead laser thingy. That was your plan. The saving protocols. Our cloning program makes them obsolete. It was a mistake to think anyone here shares your morality, Kuai Liang. The Lin Kuei have transcended humanity. Here Sub-Zero dodges a missile blast. Cyrax, immobilize him. So, Cyrax, in a very Superman-ish, I'm wielding kryptonite energy panel here from his chest. I mean, he is about to fire off a laser net.
Yeah, this is the pose from his concept art in MK9, yeah. You know.
There's just something about, like, the green glowing effect that just really makes me think of a Superman, like, Lex Luthor moment.
It's Metallo. Metallo has a kryptonite heart.
I feel like I might have seen this very, very Metallo pose somewhere. Anyhow. Sub says, you don't have to do this, Cyrax. Yes, I do, Kuai Liang. For the Lin Kuei. And for humanity. As he directs the laser net, of course, directly at Sector. Cyrax is back, folks.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Spoiler alert, it don't. Sector teleports in binary through the floor, as I
love that they did the ones and zeros from Armageddon.
Yep. He actually does it. It's great. And hits him with the uppercut. Another traitor. Cyrax on the ground says that he forgot what pain feels like. Thanks, Kuai. But behind... Well, actually, I should probably say that. First, Sub-Zero greets him by saying, welcome back to the human race.
And then Cyrax yells out, behind you, as Sector dual wields flamethrowers at them both.
The Lin Kuei will not tolerate your dissent. Next, finish this fight. as we move on to issue number 36.
This is it. This is the big finale of Season 1.
Are you ready? Is your body ready? Is your cyber body ready? Are slaving protocols disengaged? Mine are not. I'm a slave to this comic.
We don't have a choice.
Nope. So we open up this next thing, and they're engaging in, of course, another lovely Dragon Ball Z Battle for the Gods scenario. It's fire versus ice, both of them blasting away to little effect. Sector can't keep up this heat for long. Long enough for an endless supply of clones to overtake us, says Cyrax. Can you shut them down? Sector can. The clones can't function independently. They require a central master to operate. He hits 2 more of them with a laser net. And again, the art's looking pretty respectable here throughout this issue.
Yep.
We go back to Sector with Yield, Sub-Zero. Every clone you fought has quantified your strengths for me. You can't counter oxyhydro fuel burning at 3,000 degrees. Very extreme. As Sub slides forward with an ice sword and shield on his arm. 2 ice swords, actually. He's got one in the back.
He's dual wielding, and he's got a big shield attached to his forearm.
And he's sliding through with a big old ice blast.
So he ducks the flamethrowers, suddenly chops off both of Sector's arms, and says, "Guess your clones never considered. I've been holding back the whole time," as he flips over Sector's head and rips it off.
Castleman, that one's for you.
That fight was over quick.
Very, very not skewed on the martial arts side of things, and yes. Disappointing. So, all the clones are now Master. The Master is obsolete.
I like this panel. Sub-Zero holds up Sector's head like a trophy so all the robots can see it.
Just so you all know.
It's got a little bit of spine dangling from it, so he's basically doing his fatality pose.
It's actually pretty welcome. So the clones are like, replacement needed. Searching. Cyrax says with ellipses, nothing.
Yeah,
replacement found.
I always like the idea of a speech balloon with a ... in it. Like, you need to illustrate the guy's not talking by having him talk, but he's saying ...
It's the very illustration of discomfort, I feel. He's like, oh god, they're gonna choose me. Oh god.
Most prominently used in Final Fantasy VIII.
It really does take me right back to JRPGs, for real.
Yeah.
So they all set about immediately bowing to Cyrax. Cyrax is the master. Me. But why? You are the last original cyber. What is your directive? Give me a moment alone with Kuai Liang.
He almost looks sad, like his robot face kind of has an expression.
Mild discomfort, slightly sad, a little bit weirded out. This is a bit much for me.
Like, if he had eyebrows, they would be furrowed.
I want to point out that this next panel, there's now a slowly spreading pool of oil from Sector's parts. It's actually a nice touch. People forget to actually show the gradual increase of blood as a body sits there. That's so true. Sector's body is still back there, still on its knees, headless, but it actually is bleeding out. Still. It's a nice touch.
I wanna actually, let's remember that body is there for a moment, because I want to come back to that at the end of the issue.
Of course. So, there's hope for the Lin Kuei after all. I came back from the cyber. From the cyber.
Yeah, that's a weird turn of phrase.
From the cyber procedure? From the cyber initiative? Why just from the cyber? Anyway, maybe
he's trying to sound flowery and poetic?
Not really getting what he's going for there.
Word economy. This is writing for Twitter.
Maybe all of them can be restored. If anyone can restore the clan's honor, you can. Fighting alongside a real Lin Kuei one last time was as good as it gets. Thank you. One last time. I'm telling you, there's hope. Yes, there is. But first the Lin Kuei need a clean slate. Initiate auto-destruct sequence. Begin countdown. You're the master now, Sub-Zero. Make it count. So, we cut outside.
We're back outside the Fallout shelter. The doors which Sub-Zero froze and shattered are there and closed. And Bo Raicho is leaning against them, enjoying a drink, surrounded by the bodies of gray cybers that tried to escape.
I like how one's up in a tree.
Yeah, I love that. There's one that's just a torso. One of them's missing a hand.
Clearly, Bo has been getting busy. I'd just like to see how Bo ripped one in half. That seems really interesting. That seems like his style.
With his cane?
I don't know. I mean, I'll buy it. I guess he can swing that thing pretty hard. But anyhow, he's interrupted from his nice little drink by the whole fucking place exploding behind him. And again, one very, very nice single-page splash panel. And, of course, he doesn't take this bro because he's on fire and he's burning.
Yeah, he's just kind of on his hands and knees going, "Arr!" And Sub-Zero walks up, surrounded in a shield of ice, like to protect himself from the fire and explosives. And he's
just
got...
by, like, the aura of cold and the bubble around him just heals all of Bo's wounds as he walks up to him and freezes him completely fucking solid. And to free him, he gives him a little bit of a tap on the cheek to shatter it. And Bo's response is to immediately vomit. Cause
yeah, we needed that.
Why
all that hard work to make Bo Raicho a respectable character. No, let's just draw him throwing up in the comic. That's what he's famous for.
Sorry to put you on ice, Bo. You were getting overcooked. Ugh. Buy me a stiff drink and we'll call it even. Why is he even throwing up? No.
Because explosives make you nauseous?
Being heated up and flash frozen makes you nauseous? I don't know.
Well, he has been drinking heavily.
I guess. He's got an unsettled stomach. Buy me a stiff drink and we'll call it even. Fine. 1 round. After that, I think I could use some time alone. I kind of want people to, like, take to DeviantArt here and just draw Sub-Zero buying Bo Raicho booze in a bar.
Yeah, right? Like, I could not picture Sub-Zero drinking in a bar.
I'm gonna assume, for the sake of my sanity, he just gave Bo Raicho $5 and told him to fuck off. That's the only logical way this makes sense.
Fair enough. So... Earlier, the reason I said I wanted to point out that Sector's body was still lying back there is...
It's important, because...
because in the game, Sub-Zero has possession of Sector's head and one of his arms. And I wanted to point it out because this is not a complaint. They actually do have the touch. Sub-Zero is carrying a little sack. And we never see what's in the sack, but we can guess it's probably Sector's head and arm. And I thought it's possible to miss that. You might wonder, well, wait, if Sector blew up with the base, then how does he have his head and arm? So there you go. They actually didn't overlook that one.
Now, before we head on...
Yeah, but one thing they did overlook is, well, I don't know if I'd use the word overlook, but basically, obviously, Cyrax just fucking killed himself.
Yes.
And the reason we know he killed himself is because he famously has a self-destruct mechanism. He blows up his own body. Also, we did not see him escape the base after initiating the self-destruct sequence. So even if it was the base that had the bomb that blew up and not Cyrax's body, Cyrax was still in there as far as we know. The reason I bring this up is because, according to Kittleson on Twitter, it is possible that Cyrax is not as dead as we think he is. And I would just like to call bullshit on that. He specifically said, "You didn't see a body, did you?" And my response is, you know what? I didn't see the Enterprise at the end of Star Trek 3 either. It's because it fucking exploded.
Here's what I have a problem with. Cyrax wouldn't do this.
That's true. No.
This is absolutely and totally against everything that we've ever seen about Cyrax in games past and
Like,
present.
in the old timeline, he was completely okay with the idea of, living with the cyborg body as long as he had his free will back.
Yeah.
Like, he was willing to
never
cope
went
and
completely
to,
back.
like...
He was still at least 50, maybe 75% cybernetic, and he lived some sort of fulfilling life watching Ninja Mime and working for the Special Forces.
Yeah, he
Cool.
was perfectly comfortable to maximum take off the helmet and live like RoboCop.
And, again, even in MK9, what does he do? In his ending, canon or otherwise, it depicts him actually trying to learn how to live with it.
Yeah, he
blowing himself
in
up
his...
is the last fucking thing Cyrax would do.
He's not really the guy who would commit suicide.
So, this is my big moment of how the fuck are you even writing these characters to do any homework? This is what pisses me off, and I'm sure it angered Temp and especially
I know,
Cyborg as well.
I know Cyborg was mad.
Cyborg was livid, and I totally get it.
And the thing of it is, people want Cyrax to return as a character. Like, he is the most popular cyborg, and MKX not having any cyber ninjas in it was a huge sticking point for most of the people who still are not happy with the final roster of the game. So why would you kill him off in the comic?
The point is moot because we know he's just gonna come back anyway.
I guess, but I just feel like even if you take the comic as non-canon, who do you think you're satisfying by depicting Cyrax dying?
Absolutely no one. This entire comic series has just relied far too much on direct calls to events or fatalities or special moves in the games. We get it. For anyone who's got to write a game-based tie-in, we get it. Yes, we expect to see some of these things done, but we don't need them shoved down our faces at every conceivable opportunity. I do not actually need to see Cabal removing his helmet and scaring someone to death. You get me?
Yeah.
Not every single special move or famous character trait needs to be acknowledged. Not all the time. This was just a really poor decision. I'm sorry.
Actually, I will say, it would be nice just to see Cabal in general.
Yeah.
I would like to, right now,
He's absent.
I would like to vote for characters who appear in Season 2. The ones I want to see the most are Nightwolf, Cabal, and Stryker. Specifically because, like, if you put a character like Jade in the comic, you can potentially ruin something that could have been in MK11. But we already know where Cabal, Stryker, and Nightwolf are in the games. We know there's no development for them. So give them screen time and development. Let's see what being a Revenant means to those three guys. Because they're not going to get it anywhere else.
Bottoms up. I am all for that.
So if there's anybody who wants to ask who would we like to see in Season 2, that's my vote. Cabal, Stryker, and Nightwolf.
And, clearly mocap. Mocap's very important. Gotta do something with them. Anyhow, shall we move forward?
Yes.
Lin Kuei Palace, Arctica. A few weeks later.
Can we pause on that a second, actually?
Yes, we can.
I want to specifically the term Arctica.
Yes.
Arctica was the location of the Lin Kuei Temple in Deadly Alliance through Armageddon. That was the second Lin Kuei Temple. It used to be a church of Delia, Argus's wife, and Sub-Zero moved the clan there after he took it over in the old timeline. In MKX, the concept art specifies that the Lin Kuei Temple in that game is the old Lin Kuei Temple. Sub-Zero did not move the clan. This is where their base has always been. That's why they have a statue to the founder. So how could it be in fucking Arctica? It's supposed to be in, like, Mongolian China.
Continuity error. Pretty massive one. Thank you for that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but that's just, Kittleson doesn't know that. That's obscure lore, and I'm okay with that. I just want to point it out, because that's what I do. I know all the obscure things. And I hope that by my saying them out loud, listeners will then know them too, and it'll mean something.
So, we've got Sub meditating here.
Yeah.
Actually saying Om, as one does. And a blue hand reaches to touch him from behind. Excuse me. It's Frost, of course, and Sub flips the bitch. I barely touched you! Who are you? What are you doing here? Name's Frost. Raiden invited me to the tournament. Raiden? What tournament? She's very blue here, by the way.
Oh, she's literally like Livewire, the Superman villain.
Honestly. So she freezes his hands a little bit to get him off of her. The tournament to join the new Lin Kuei. We all came to audition, show off our talents. And of course he turns that shit right back on her and grabs her wrists right back. Ow! Not for me, you didn't. And what do you mean, we? As he looks up, again, the pupil is white.
Yep.
In his scarred eye. They're keeping this. This is absolutely intentional, and it's really nice.
So he looks up to see an entire crowd of people with various fairly interesting character designs, honestly. Like,
I wonder if they Googled create a character in Armageddon, pick the most interesting possible combinations.
It's possible. Although I should point out one of these dudes is clearly Chrome.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
There is definitely a silver ninja in this crowd.
I'm gonna look for this now. Oh, fuck. Son of a fucking bitch. Alright, I'm out.
I thought you'd like that.
Night. Son of a fuck.
Anyway, so Sub-Zero sees this entire crowd of people that somehow he didn't notice walk up behind him as he was meditating, and he just says, "Damn it."
He knows Chrome's in there! I don't know what Raiden told you all. I should leave you out here on the tundra. Yes, you should. You really should. But you made it this far. Maybe one or two of you really are worthy of becoming Lin Kuei. But if you want to stay, as a rule, don't attack your master. Understood? Yes, sir, replies Frost.
I can't believe Frost called somebody sir.
Maybe it's a sarcastic, yes, sir.
Let's go with that.
Come with me, Chrome, random losers, and some Shadow Priest-looking motherfucker. We've got a lot to figure out, and I need to have a talk with Raiden. The fuck gave you my address? Cut elsewhere again. Red Dragon Stronghold, the Crimson Forest.
This one's actually accurate. That is a location from Armageddon. They even drew it right.
Yeah. One does not simply request to see Daigon, says one of the 3 Red Dragon guards at the door. And we had a little bit of a discussion here about this, I think, on our Netherkast Facebook page.
That's true. Somebody pointed out, and I'm pretty sure they're right, that almost every line a Red Dragon Mook ever says is a movie quote.
Or a meme. Or both.
In even the first issue, that fat one that Sub-Zero beat up said Dagon would swallow his soul, which is a line from Evil Dead.
We had Oh God, Not the Bees. Best moment ever.
Fairly obvious.
And now one does not simply walk into Mordor. So here we have Stumpy, the Prince of the Shokan, dragging a sled behind him. I am not simple. I am a prince, and I will see Daigon, with or without spilling your blood. My blood. That's a good one, coming from Goro, Prince of Cripples. First troubles, the Red Dragon Mook is instantly rewarded with everyone's favorite forward-thrusting kick. He's dead now.
His stomach has turned to liquid.
It's not enough, though, because Goro just, stomps on the poor son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Who's a cripple? You can stop smashing my men, Goro, replies Dagon from the shadows. You have my attention. Dagon, founder of the Red Dragon.
I should point out, this is a fairly accurate depiction of Dagon, except for one thing. He doesn't have a tattoo on his face!
Jeez, you're right. Shows how much I
Isn't
remember
that
Dagon.
kind of one of the most important features of Taven and Dagon, that they both have matching dragon tattoos on their faces?
Wasn't it part of their lore?
I'm pretty sure it stands for something, like because they were both raised by dragons. Orin and Karo. The Red Dragon clan is named after Karo, the Red Dragon.
It's a fair and good point. If I cared more about Dagon, I'd be much more inclined to bitch right along with you, but I don't.
See, I like Dagon, and for a completely irrational reason, his voice actor sounded sorta like Clancy Brown. So whenever I think of him, I think of animated Lex Luthor. That's all it is.
So, to close this issue out, I've studied your lore. Your Dragon King Onaga is of great interest to me. Yes, it was said if you cut off Onaga's hand, another grew in its place.
So you can see why that would be of interest to someone who's lost all his arms.
You believe I can help you, but why would I? So we see what's on the sled. Because, Dagon, I'm already helping you. It's Kenshi, chained up and beaten
bloody.
the fuck.
Yeah. Wow, Kenshi, you lost to a guy with no arms. It's sad.
Kenshi Takahashi, the spy who betrayed me. You are a prince indeed, Goro. And that concludes this series, for now.
They ended on a cliffhanger, which is hilarious if there's not a season 2.
Unfortunate.
I'd also like to point out the retcon here of the Red Dragon now worships Onaga.
Probably just another minor inconsistency that I'm sure will be forgotten about in time.
No, it has to be deliberate. I mean, there was no point in the games where the Red Dragon clan worked for Onaga. It's just Kittleson going, well, Dagon worked for Shinnok, but Shinnok is defeated in MKX, so instead, you know what? Red Dragon, Dragon King, why not connect them? Which,
I suppose.
The reason it bothers me is because I don't want the comic to touch Onaga so that Onaga can still be used in a game.
That's fair.
He's one of my favorite bosses. I want him to come back.
I wish I cared as much, but I really don't. I'd be perfectly happy with an explanation that said that Blaze never woke up and...
I'm fine with no more Blaze. I don't give a shit about Blaze, but I really like Onaga.
Who knows where Reptile wound up, and...
He doesn't have to take over Reptile's body to come back.
Yeah, but I mean, who else is going to do it? Chameleon? Some random reptilian move?
He could just re-inhabit his own body.
Can he do that?
He did in Armageddon.
Didn't he need another shell? Did he? God.
Yeah, because that's how him and Reptile are both in Armageddon.
I swear.
Reptile got his body back, and Onaga's spirit got put in his original tomb.
I feel like, God damn, Armageddon is responsible for so much garbage.
Yeah, but it's not completely unreasonable to have a guy's ghost really, go back into his own corpse and have it come back to life.
I suppose. Still. Had to be better out there. You didn't have to have Chameleon as his own character. All I'm saying is, give it to Chameleon. That's all I'm saying. The male. We don't need the dude.
That's fair.
Just get rid of that guy.
There's no other reason to have Chameleon in a game. Why not? Whatever.
So, anyway, I guess we'll see if there's a season 2.
We will see.
I wouldn't mind. Apparently the comic did pretty well for itself.
Yeah, it was for a digital comic, one of the high sellers, so... And, I mean, Injustice is about to start its 5th year.
A pretty impressive feat. I'd like to see MK live that long. And maybe they can plan so that the next series will coincide with some of the DLC. Who knows? Maybe we can start fresh, because Kittelson's got to know, he's got to have the whole script ready for himself by now. We'll see how things go. I have high hopes for the future. There'll still probably be some fuck-ups along the way, but like I've mentioned, it doesn't really bother me how canon this thing turns out to be in the end. They can't really make it any worse than it already is, I don't think.
It's just like I said. Like, I don't want Ed and the guys to, when they're coming up with the plot or the roster for MK11, to go, well, that guy died in the comic, even though, like, the comic barely counts. I
don't think they're even going to consider the comic, to be quite honest.
I think it's possible. I don't know how they think or what they're going to do, because this is a unique situation. Like, we've never had a piece of tie-in material that was supposed to be canon like this before. So who knows how much they'll be influenced by it when they continue to write the actual canon story.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the actual team of writers has been pretty constant for the last couple of games. I don't know. They probably have their own plans and theories about where things are going to go.
I don't think they plan ahead. They definitely did not have... We know they're on record that when they wrote the story for MK9, they had no plan for the next game except for Shinnok. They killed all those dudes off, not knowing what they were going to do with them in the next one.
It's a plan of a sort. Shinnok is a vague plan, and they seem to have some sort of plan for Jade. I'm not saying that they plan everything meticulously, but I'm just saying they might have a vague vision for where things are going to go. Jade seems to be important. This chick seems to be maybe important. Maybe, I stress maybe.
I really, really want that old timeline versus new timeline crossover to be a thing.
God, don't we all?
But I would be willing to see that one put off until 12 so that 11 can do Dark Raiden versus Netherrealm ruled by Lu and Kitana versus Outworld.
So, there you go. There's something. They have a line on something. Lord knows what it'll actually entail. But that's it. That's been our comic. The comic we waited so very, very long to get a hold of. Was it worth the 20 years since the last one? I don't know about worth it. It was nice to have it. I won't say no to more.
Well, worth is a funny thing to use when, again, the last one was Malibu. And this is markedly better than that.
What do you say, Razor? Do you want to review the Malibu issues?
Maybe in the future. I don't want to commit to that being like the next episode or anything. It's definitely something we'll take a look at.
We definitely have other things to look into and look forward to and cover, but one of these days I really would like to introduce our viewers to the glory and majesty that is Smoke having Toasty as a catchphrase. It's just the best thing ever.
Was that the only thing he said? I'm pretty sure he didn't have any other lines.
He said other things, but he opened every sentence with toasty or closed it. And then when you picture the MK9 voice saying it, it's just that much better. Toasty.
So he's basically a Moogle.
Pretty well.
Like how they always have to work the word Kupo into a sentence. He did that with Toasty.
Don't forget how Jax beat him by opening an airplane door in mid-flight and sucking him out the door.
My favorite thing is the idea of Baraka as like a noble savage who's carrying a baby around and trying to take care of it in the wasteland.
I love Noob Saibot randomly coming up to him and offering him helpful advice. Then running away.
Oh, and the guy who is fought in the middle of the first tournament, who has 6 arms, nunchucks, and I'm pretty sure a cyclopean laser eye.
Oh, you refer to, of course, that champion of champions, the Grand Poobah of Outworld, created by Zagat the Chaos Master, the Combatant, who, if you'll recall, had a different sort of arm guard for each character he represented. Oh, son of a bitch. I can't.
And, and this was a guy who's fought in the middle of the tournament, before Goro. He is less strong than Goro, despite 6 arms and a laser eye.
Wait, hang on. No. I think we're mixing things up, aren't we?
Well, there's definitely
the combatant was in the Goro Prince of Pain.
Yeah, there's the combatant, and there was also a guy named Grum.
Yeah, that was it, Grum.
And Grum was definitely like a Shokan with more arms. Which, I have the same complaint to that I have to Shiva appearing in MK9 in Cyrax's chapter, which was, why would you ever put anybody who's a Shokan before Goro in terms of who appears first in the story?
Way to build things up. We're not getting the whole purpose of shock treatment, shock value.
Yeah.
That was the thing about Goro.
He was supposed to be special because he was the scariest monster dude at the tournament. You look at everybody else and you go, well, that's just a guy in a ninja suit. You look at Goro, that's a monster from another planet. And that set him apart.
Does anyone not remember the first time that they went up that MK Water 2 arcade ladder and fought Kintaro over the first time? You had that sense of apprehension. I'm sure of it. Subliminally, subconsciously.
Yeah.
You had that moment of thinking, I'm gonna die. Just for a moment. No, whoever created Grunk, whatever the fuck his name was, didn't get what Goro's entire role was vis-a-vis that game.
And then there's Hydro, Sub-Zero's partner who has the exact same powers as Sub-Zero.
You mean Proto-Rain? It amazes me
well,
that
no,
some
that's
of you...
the thing. Like, they say, oh, he's water and Sub-Zero's ice, but we see Hydro use a freeze blast.
I get the feeling that, like, at that point... Oh, yeah, at that point, definitely. I think Sub-Zero's MK1 and he had a lot to do with that, because you saw, like, group of...
That's true. In the
random
picture,
blue
they're all
ninjas
dressed
there.
the same.
That is the way I thought of the Lin Kuei for a long time. A bunch of ice dudes. I'm glad that didn't turn out to be the case.
Yeah, no, it's better the way they retconned it in mythologies that everybody has a different power.
Quite. And for those of you out there who actually still want Hydro, stop. Just stop. It's not going to happen.
It could actually happen. Like, if Kittleson can get the rights to put that guy in the web series, then WB must be allowed to use him, which means he could be in a game.
It's a name. I consider it just a name and a coincidence. Well, not a coincidence, but it's a shout-out.
I like the way Legacy used it. The idea of him being like a malfunctioning, like kind of a crappy prototype cyber ninja that Sector and Cyrax train against. Because, I mean, if you've got this, like, experimental procedure that's never been done before, really the first guy you're going to use it on is your son? He could die on the table.
Dude, he volunteered for it.
Yeah, but it would be a waste of, like, a good warrior. Like, you want to at least sort of test some of the systems before you put it all together on a dude. So I like the idea that there was, like, this sort of, like, a beta test guy, and he kind of malfunctions.
That's fair. Just provided they can keep it outside of the games themselves. I don't care who uses Hydro as long as I don't have to see him.
Well, yeah, like, I'm not saying I want him to be playable, but, like a little cameo or something would have been nice. If there had been any Lin Kuei stages in MK9 so they could depict the Cyber Initiative process. Like, that's another one of my big complaints with 9, that it all happens off-screen.
Oh, God, definitely. Alright, I guess that's it.
So, yeah, that was the comic. I don't know, overall thoughts on the whole season?
It was a ride. It was a trip. I want them to get a consistent art team together. I hopefully next time they won't be quite as encumbered by deadlines or whatnot.
Well, I
do not want this to be passed back and forth to random people depending on who's available.
That is just, I think, part of the nature of digital releases. You kind of have to rush them so it's out every week. But it should be noted, I think, that the art in Injustice, which was pretty terrible in Season 1, has gotten better season by season.
Well, that's the only thing that I can really hope for at this point. That it's sold well enough to keep WB interested, to keep DC interested in keeping it going. There are a lot of stories to tell, a lot of characters left untouched, a lot of realms left to explore. And it's going to be a long time till the next MK, folks, so something to keep us entertained in between, canon or otherwise, would be very, very welcome and nice. I'm actually looking forward to more of this comic more than I am Legacy Part 3, whatever that turns out to be.
That's still a big old question mark. Like, is that actually going to be connected to Legacy, or is it going to be canon to MKX? Because the casting sheet seems to have been true. Like, we know characters like Devora and Cassie are going to be in this thing. So the question is, it can't just be, both. Like, it can't be the future of Legacy, because Legacy ended on a cliffhanger with Liu Kang as a bad guy fighting Kung Lao.
I could totally see them doing kind of a hybrid part thing. We'll flash back to, I don't know, how many years in the future, and Liu Kang fell deeper under the sway of blah 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 boop, and now he's evil in the Netherrealm, and this is a guy named Shinnok. I don't expect good planning from this. Just the simplest explanation possible as to how we got from point B to C, and that'll be it. I legitimately want more of what Kittelson's offering us.
Obviously, in comparison, the comic, the prospect of a season 2 is way more exciting than a big, mysterious web series whose first 2 seasons were actually garbage.
I can't say total garbage, but there was a lot more bad there for me personally than there was.
There were a few little gems, but I think of, Scorpion and Sub-Zero being time travelers from feudal Japan. And
they never even explained that. I like to look at the Scorpion Sub-Zero as its own little time bubble YouTube video made by MK Enthusiasts thing. It's very lovely, taken by itself.
I don't know. Even if I take it by itself, it makes me salty because Kuai Liang is a bad guy and dies. It's obvious that Tankeroan doesn't know shit about Sub-Zero. He doesn't understand which one is the popular one and why fans care. Which I guess, if you're a casual, you're a Scorpion fan, you're not gonna know Sub-Zero is the cooler of the two and why.
Maybe I should watch Legacy Season 2 again to refresh. Or I could do something more productive, like watch Street Fighter Assassin's Fist.
Assassin's Fist is the standard. It follows the canon of Street Fighter.
They had so little to work with, and they got it so very right. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we have too much to work with.
I don't think that's it. I think it's just that Mortal Kombat probably looks more attractive to, artsy guys who have their own vision. It's like the Fantastic Four movie that just came out, where you don't care about making the Fantastic Four.
It's not like that.
It's actually like that, very similar. There are some real similarities there.
No, I actually do agree in terms of scope and approach and
budget.
Probably. I still do maintain though,
but
Legacy had a little bit more going for it.
Well, here's the difference. Here's the difference.
That I kept tuning in.
Mortal Kombat Legacy was an officially licensed product. And studios were still... Everybody in Hollywood, except for Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, looks at a property that they have the rights to and goes, well, we can't just do it like that. It has to be translated to the screen. And also, directors are the most important thing in Hollywood. Their vision matters more than writing and
that's how you get the ratings,
loyalty. So. A director is supposed to be this artist who comes up with his own thing. Even if he's making something else, he's expected to turn it into his property. And I hate that mindset so fucking much, but that's the way it is with movies.
It's the reason that we got Deadpool then, and why we have Deadpool now.
Yeah, see, Deadpool is the passion project of a Deadpool fan, and he basically forced the studio to let him make it. And Street Fighter Assassin's Fist is a fan film made by people who have an actual passion for the Street Fighter source material. And that's what separates them from shit made by Hollywood.
I will give Legacy credit for trying on certain boundaries and certain fronts, though. What got me started, what kept me watching, what got me real interested, were the Jax, Sonya, and Kano episodes, which I thought were pretty damn good.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to shoot, just military fighting arms dealers.
Out of any concept in MK. That translates so very easily.
The laser guns were an interesting choice.
Believable. I can dig it. Kano fires that shit out of his eye all the time. Whatever.
I also, I really like the actor who played Stryker in Season 1.
Yeah.
Which made Suddenly Different with a thick beard guy in Season 2 stand out all the more. In fact, that was my biggest complaint with Season 2 wasn't actually the writing. It was that everybody had a fucking beard and I couldn't tell them apart. Raiden, Stryker, and Johnny Cage all look like the same guy.
Beards. Coincidence? I think not.
Maybe that's where MKX got it from.
These 2 past years have been the years of the beard. Believe. Cyber Ninja with the beards. How feasible do you think it is?
It's Rust. That's how that...
If Transformers can do it with Scourge, Cyclonus, and, Scourge and Unicron, yeah.
That's true. They just kind of stick spiky metal around the mouth and pretend it's a mustache.
I want to see the MK equivalents to this. Let's get on it.
No, I like Rust. Like when Bender doesn't drink, he gets rusty around the mouth, and it looks like 5 o'clock Shadow. I want to see that on like a Cyrax who's been living out in the wild.
MK Universe 3. Sub-Zero was never restored to human form, so we've got this Sub-Zero aged properly, but with a cyber beard. Yes. Yes. Show me your deviant art. Show me.
Yeah, when you say that, you're not going to get what you're asking for. You're going to get pictures of Sonic recolors.
Gotta go fast, dude. Alright, have we anything further to say to our beloved listeners?
No, I think that about covers it. Overall, I just want to say, we've been very critical of the comic, but again, I just want to point out, we have, when the art was good, we did point it out. We're not just out to hate. We want to like this thing.
Man, we should really start these episodes by saying these things.
Yeah, that's true. But the writing, again, whenever we find a flaw with continuity, we never necessarily blame Kittleson or call him a bad writer. We're just sort of lamenting the fact that it really looks like he didn't have a final draft of the script to work from, so that tying it into MKX was not something he was really able to do effectively.
Precisely. I don't hate the man for writing when he makes mistakes, and he does make mistakes. I don't think it's entirely his fault. I just lament this clusterfuck of a tie-in product system that we have going on that forces such things to occur.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about continuity and whether it's canon or not affecting our enjoyment, and, continuity is such a funny thing, especially with comic books, where, one issue can retcon the next, and it's almost like nothing you're reading ever really counts, so the only thing that should matter is whether or not you enjoyed the story. But at the same time, it's human nature to want things to make fucking sense, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. But this is a large part of the reason why I stopped following Batman comics, because my time came and it went with the New 52.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I was able to keep going on Green Lantern until Jeff Johns finished up because he completely ignored the reboot. But once that was over, I have not, and I'm more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy in terms of favorite characters, but I have not really read anything.
As soon as Johns put that book down, I put that book down.
Yeah.
I was done. Good ending, too, by the by. Very good ending. But, that's it. Things change, and issue B will inevitably contradict issue number A, and game A to game B, and so forth. I guess these days, in order to survive and maintain your sanity, you just have to accept what's put in front of you on the table and hope that the next course matches the lunch you just had.
I guess. And again, like, this is something that I'd probably be a lot madder about if I was, like, 5 years younger and hadn't lived through MK9. But I'm basically like, I was a wild horse and they broke me, and now I just accept being ridden.
There's a difference between acceptance and expectance. And that's, I think, what got me to like MKX's storyboard as much as I actually did. I was pleasantly surprised by the lack of absolute mediocrity. I sensed effort.
Yeah, they did a much better job with X than they did with 9, and I've said that many times. And I know there's people who disagree out there because, they didn't like the way a certain character was treated, or,
Here's the deal, folks. Your favorite character died. Tough shit. We've all been there. We'll be there again. And depending on how long you've been with the series and stick with it or plan to stick with it, you're going to be there again.
I just,
You're going to die. It's not going to matter.
This is, like, for most characters, they've already died at least twice. 3 times if you count Armageddon.
Pretty well.
Because it's literally canon. Everybody but Kitana died in Armageddon.
How do we feel about this now, by the way? Because the joke really used to be, no one dies in Mortal Kombat except for the original Sub-Zero. How do we feel about that these days?
The fact that the joke is now, everybody dies but nobody stays dead?
Yes.
Are
we okay with the way it is now? Or do we like the way it was before?
Look, you have to sort of accept that it's part of the lore, and has been, and always will be, and should be, that one of the realms that these stories are about is the afterlife. People go there when they die, and stuff continues to happen to them because it's part of the story. The only alternative is to never write about heaven or the Netherrealm, and I think that would make the Mortal Kombat universe more boring.
Precisely.
But I also think that death is a very specific and powerful tool. You have to know when to use it and when not to, and we've talked about that before too. Like the idea that you shouldn't just kill everybody all the time. Like in Mortal Kombat 1, the only guy who dies is Bi-Han. In Mortal Kombat 2, the only person who dies is Mileena. And these furthered other people's stories. Those deaths were important. They weren't just there for shock or because somebody felt like there had to be a death quota.
Precisely. I view death as being necessary to transform a character.
And by the same token, resurrection, yeah, it should only be used to make a character different in an important way. Like when Bi-Han became Noob Saibot, when Hanzo Hazashi became Scorpion.
When I do say transform, as a caveat, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Not strictly to change form, but to evolve the character's story or their purpose.
Like...
to make them grow.
Yeah. People coming back from the dead is not a problem. It's when they do it in bulk that's a problem. Like, at the beginning of Deception, saying that Kung Lao, Kitana, and all the other good guys were killed by the Deadly Alliance and immediately resurrected by the Dragon King. Why was that necessary? Why couldn't you have just said they were knocked out and Dragon King woke them up and enslaved them with mind control? Why did they have to die? Why did so many people have to die to Sindel and MK9 if, like, it ended up that Nightwolf and Cabal and Stryker were just going to be background characters and death wouldn't mean anything to them? Becoming Revenants wouldn't give them any development in MKX.
Shock factor and cliffhangers.
Yeah, and it's just, that's...
involved story modes these days, I guess.
It's cheap and it's shoddy. As a storyteller, I can't picture being the person who would use those tools that way. But I guess I hold myself to a higher standard than the guys who work at NRS do sometimes. I am a perfectionist, and some people would call that a character flaw.
I do want to say, though, that nothing of the sort happened in MKX, so props to them for that.
That's true.
This time there was a time to kill, and only a select few bit the bullet.
There were deaths and they were important. Like, I feel like Mileena dying was good for the story. I feel like Quan Chi's death was good for Scorpion's character. I actually would argue that maybe one or two more people should have died, because I felt like, for the good guys, the stakes and the tension weren't really there at the end of the story.
Fair enough. I spoke about it at length, and I'm very, very surprised that neither Sonya or Johnny bit it by the end of this story.
What I would have done is, I don't know if they had Johnny captive, and he was taking blasts full in the face from the amulet, so yeah, he really shouldn't have survived that. But
I was expecting him to die at that point. I
would have maybe killed... Well, you don't want to kill Takeda, because then he'll just be a copy of Scorpion. You don't want to kill Kung Jin, because then he'll just be a copy of Kung Lao. Cassie you can't kill, because she's the main character. And I don't actually want to kill Jacqui. What I would say is that she should have been really, really seriously wounded and had to be turned into, like, a cyborg of some kind. Because you don't have to kill someone to create stakes and danger. Like, you can just, like, seriously wound people. As long as it's, like, a permanent, like, a severe wound. You know, like, when Luke Skywalker loses a hand in Empire Strikes Back. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's fair. I do think, though, this was actually the first time in memory where we were actually introduced to a completely new set of cast members, and not one of them really had anything horrible happen to them the entire way through story mode.
Yeah, like even Takeda gets Reptile's acid spit full in his eyes, and he's not permanently blind.
Well, we saw in the movie.
But again, that would have just made him a copy of his dad, so it's like it was a brief joke that he might end up like his dad, but no, the water cured him, it's fine. And then they could have that cute little moment where the first thing he sees is Jacqui and he calls her beautiful.
Reptile's spit has the consistency of Kool-Aid. It's not that lethal.
I mean, at least when it happened to Liu Kang in the movie, it was a mist, it wasn't a straight-up gob of green acid.
But not just the good guys either. Ferritor, Kodal, Aaron Black.
Yeah, that's true. All of the new Outworlders made it out alive, too.
There were no deaths in the Goon Squad. I actually kind of have to hand it to them. Leaves their stories open for the future. Well done.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like the answer to the question about death as a story element is just, you can use it, but use it wisely.
It's a time and a place. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like, give it some fucking gravitas. Don't have 10 people die in the same scene and become zombies in the next one. Because you know you're only going to use 3 out of those 10 in the next story. And it's not even going to be the 3 who deserve it the most. Like Liu Kang and Kitana, sure, but why would you give so much screen time to Kung Lao where he does nothing, and give no screen time to Smoke, who, realizing that he has been a demon all along, is the entire, like, center of his backstory?
And what's the most demonic thing he did? Bullied Raiden for lunch money.
Yeah, he pushed him.
Shoved him around a bit. That's it for me, I guess.
Yeah, so we reviewed the comic and then a little bit extra, so I hope everybody got their non-existent money's worth out of this episode.
I hope that you guys had a jolly time listening to us.
Yeah. We got a lot of feedback on the first one about that. I guess people found us pretty funny. I'm afraid that we probably weren't as jokey this time around, because we only did 3 issues and they were actually pretty good, as opposed to like 10 straight of Kentaro faces that don't match.
Have we not been funny enough? Are you not entertained? Alright, let me think of something here. What do? Do I end this with a loud series of fart noises? Do I,
No, see, we gave them crap for having Bo Ride show puke on panel. We can't do fart noises now. Make us look like hypocrites.
Well, I know you're no hypocrite, Razor, but I mean, me, I'll do anything.
Well, you can make fart noises. I'm the one who had a problem with the puke scene.
Alright, Razor, well, I hated it too, but still. I'm an asshole like that. What's your favorite MK background music there, Razor?
I really like the stinger at the beginning of Goro's lair, and I love that they used it all throughout story mode for the first tournament in MK9.
The stinger from Goro's lair.
Like that dun dun da 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 dun 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 dun.
That one there.
Yeah, I actually it's not a stage theme, but I love the opening from MK2, the a track screen demo. Music.
Ah, yes, always a favorite of mine. May I ruin it for you?
Okay.
Okay, good.
This is classy. This is highbrow entertainment.
Okay. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Oh.
I'll be here all week. Sorry for
I'm
that.
actually angry at myself for laughing.
You should be more angry at yourself for indulging me.
Yeah, well, that too. Like, I was angry that I let you do it in the first place, and then I was angry that I gave in and laughed. So congratulations. On 2 counts.
We love you, folks.
So yeah, that was episode 2 of The Lost. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
So very lost. Tune in next week.
Chill for a moment. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed those fart noises.
The more likes you get, the more drunk I am next time. It'll eventually, at some point, be nothing but Razor offering insightful commentary on the gravitas and plot and evolution of MK's various cast as I just start huffing paint thinner. I swear to God. Lord knows that some elements of this fucking game's plot, as much as I do love it, give me the urge to do just that.
Alright, well, that was it.
That's it?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.
May chaos break the rules that bind.
More silent than the night. More silent than deadly. More deadly than the